An old steamship in poor mechanical condition. Part 2. Fitting boiler fittings and making the piping. Modifying the reversing gear of the Stuart 1010V to make it suitable for radio control. Time now to fit the boiler into the boat temporarily, and as you can see, there's just enough clearance. What I'm going to do now is fit the outlet pipe from the boiler's tap to the inlet pipe of the superheater. This is not going to be a permanent fixture. I will have to dismantle it because the boiler will not go in the boat when it's got taps and safety valves and things on it. Everything will have to be assembled when it's in the boat. I'm bending the pipe to length, and I do it freehand with my hand. I don't use a pipe bender. If you're not sure what you're doing with this and you've not done much of it, it's a good idea to get some plumber's solder. Bend that to the right length. That will allow you to cut your piece of copper pipe to the right size. But it's difficult to bend copper pipe if it's to the right size. Always cut a bit more copper than you need so you can get hold of it with your hand to make the bends, or of course use a pipe bender. But either way, it's best to cut a little bit over size so you're not working to too close a tolerance. As you can see here, I've silver soldered the unions onto the pipe, not forgetting to put the nuts in place first. The pipe is a good fit, and now I'm fitting the safety valve. Making this safety valve work is going to be fun. The safety valve will output any excess pressure in a big jet that comes out of the top, but this has to be routed up a pipe that's fastened to the chimney on the superstructure, and obviously this has to be removable. Here's a clearer picture and you can see the pipe underneath. This has to align with the safety valve, and what I have to do is make a fitting that fits over the safety valve and connects to this pipe. I don't think the pipe is 100% in line with the safety valve, but it shouldn't be too big a job to make it so. I'll just make a special fitting that fits on the safety valve, but is permanently captive to the main part of the chimney pipe. Not to be confused with the exhaust pipe, this is going to carry the exhaust steam from the engine up the chimney itself. This engine was built by a friend of mine, the late Bernard Walker, and it was built as a display model. Bernard Walker had quite a collection of steam engines, and he used to run them mainly at exhibitions. He would run them on compressed air normally, hence there are no connectors fitted. This engine would have been fed with compressed air via a plastic pipe just pushed onto the inlet manifold. This situation is no good at all in a model steamboat. What I'm doing at the moment is fitting a couple of lock nuts in place of the clamp nut that would normally be used to hold the valve gear in position, because I need this to be radio controlled. Later on in the episode I'll show how I do this. All I'm doing at the moment is putting a couple of lock nuts on to replace the knurled wheel that would normally tighten the shaft. I'm leaving the support rod in place just for a bit of extra strength, although with radio control this is not really required. In this clip I'm just making sure that it's not too slack and not too tight. Over now to fitting the inlet and exhaust unions. You can clearly see what I've done here. I've silver soldered a cone nipple on the end of each pipe. One is 3/16 of an inch and the other one is a quarter pipe. By only having the need to silver solder the coned unions, I didn't need to use too much heat, just enough to get the ends of the pipes red, and this meant that I didn't have to dismantle the engine to fit them, and it's always good to save a little time. It's something we're all running out of rapidly. Time now to have a look at the transmission. These are model universal joints and they're commercially available at most model shops, and they come complete with various sizes of brass fittings. And these are splined to fit into the plastic part, or the nylon part, or whatever it's made out of. I've always found these to be very reliable. I did have to modify this fitting. I bored it out to fit on the end of the crankshaft. But the problem is, this crankshaft is far too long. It's very tight in this boat, so I'm going to have to shorten the crankshaft. I'm sure there are many Stuart Models purists out there who are going to cringe at what I'm about to do, but I have to shorten this crankshaft. I'm not going to video it because I think it may be too much for some people. Suffice to say that I shortened the crankshaft until it looked like this. I now can successfully fit this brass fitting without it sticking out too far. And all I have to do now is tighten the grub screw with an Allen key. And now it's time for a test run. Yes, it runs well. It runs in both directions quite smoothly. If you look on my gallery page on the Mainsteam website, that's www.mainsteam.co.uk as it shows on screen, You will see that I've built quite a lot of steam plants over the years. This is the arrangement I would use to operate the control arm on a steam engine that reverses using Stephenson's link motion. All it is a simple bell crank with one arm longer than the other, and the longer arm links to the lever with either a piece of wire or a suitable radio control clevis, the type that just snap together. But obviously I wouldn't use the plastic ones, I would use the metal ones. And in order to make this work I have to make a simple fitting. I'm not going to bother going through the lathe operations. It's a piece of brass with a hole drilled down the middle. The hole in the piece of brass has to match the size of the arm, and here I'm just marking off for the length, and I put it back in the lathe and cut it off to this length because I don't want too much sticking out, otherwise the leverage will be a problem. What I then do is put it in the milling machine and quickly mill a flat on each side. Here I'm cleaning this up with a small needle file. It's always best to do a bit of cleaning up and polishing. I don't like to leave things in a rough condition. The suitably cleaned up arm now can be fastened to the handle using some Loctite 638. The good thing about doing it this way is I'm not making any modifications to the engine really. I'm not drilling any holes in the engine or machining any bits of it. All I'm doing is Loctiting this piece of brass over the existing handle. And if ever I want to remove it, all I have to do is warm it up with a blow lamp, and that will cause the Loctite to lose its grip and the part can be withdrawn. I'm just checking that it's square by just putting a spanner on the end of it. It's easier to see. Yes, it's fine. This feels pretty good. It's very smooth in every direction. No tight spots anywhere, which is what you need. Because any tight spots in the radio control side of the system will cause excessive load on the battery and may cause premature draining of the battery, which with radio control is not a good thing. Here you see the option that I've got with the fittings. This is a radio control clevis, and this is a piece of wire. It depends how it works out in the end. I'm not sure which I'm going to use yet. And that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my main Steam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.